Hey everyone, Sawmill Charlie. Well, welcome to another Friday night bee chat. Hey Roy and Joe, and we got Clay in the house. Hey Mike, and there's Big Mike in the house. Hey DC, Keith. Hopefully everybody's having a good time. Hopefully everybody didn't get too hit too hard with this roller coaster weather we've been having here. We'll go ahead and drop the link in. Let everybody come in. And it's dropped. Hey, busting bees. Let's see. And it's pinned. And here comes Bill. He's invisible.
Oh, gotta fix my camera. Hang on.
Now you're starting to come up.
There we go. That better?
It's getting there. There we go.
There we go.
Hey, Billy Lee. Hey, Hoskin, honey. And that would be David. And all. So, how's the weather down south?
Cold.
Yeah, I know. It's back to cold again here. It got windy this afternoon. Hey, Philip. And yeah, you're clear.
Yeah, but I'm seeing my desk.
Yeah.
Trying to get rid of.
Let me run in here for a second.
Evening, everybody. It was nice down your way today, Keith. I was down there this morning. It was nice down there.
Oh my.
Better.
Man, I'll tell you, get on some of these chats. I gotta keep them out.
Keep busy, huh?
I got this. I was on this other chat, and this one person that claims to have 50 years experience. I'm like, you must have Alzheimer's. You're sure I forgot a lot of stuff. And the guy had a deep and a medium for his thing, and he had 4 hives.
Yeah.
And I think that what he was trying to ask is, he was concerned about having enough open comb for the queen to lay in. And it's like, well, he doesn't know anything. And I'm like, it was 80 degrees last week. You should have pulled the medium off and pulled a couple frames up, see what's going on, And then the other person who's got the 50 years experience, and his father started this and did that. I said, well, what are you going to do? I says, you're going to find out what the queen is doing. That's what you're going to do. You're not going to fix anything. But at least you know where your hive is in its development stages.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, but you could, he was saying something about checkerboarding the top box between the honey frame. I says, for what? They're not going to move up there. It's too cold. And then these guys, they put fondant on top of the top box. I says, look, I said, if it's cold like it is, I said, fondant has got to be placed on top of the bees in direct contact.
Yep.
And I said, they're not going to move out of the cluster. I said, the honey frame can be 3/8 of an inch away from the cluster and they starve.
Yep.
If it's, let's say, 20 degrees out at nighttime or something like that, or like January where we had like, what was it? 8 degrees at night, you know, they're not going to move nowhere. They're just in a dormant stage.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
they
Joe,
can come
Joe,
and go from that stage all the time, but it's a stressor when they have to come and go out of that stage. It stresses them out.
Charlie gets in a fight at a bee meeting. Yeah. Sometimes I have to take and keep my mouth shut. And sometimes I just shake my head. And there's a lot of folks that was in this chat where, you know, they're beginners and they're, you know, like the one guy has not been in his hives all. I said, well, do you know if he can got bees? I mean, oh, it's going to be 50 degrees. I'm like, so what? I said, I've been in mine at 30 some degrees. If you have to.
Yeah. Hey, Roy, it's just a good thing those bee meetings aren't in person. Or Charlie would have to take bail money to every one of them.
So, Joe, Perry County Bee Company. I need to. I presume that you're in the same chat from your comment. I'm not sure. I didn't take. Where are you at? There you are.
He's up near you somewhere.
I'm going to his channel. Okay, cool.
Roy, we're not dumping on you.
What's that?
He says, Roy said to James, I'm getting dumped on. No, you're not getting dumped on.
No, hey Dot. I just no, but you were in the chat, obviously, Joe. I wasn't looking at the name. I don't know whether you have your name in there that I can recognize your face. I know there was a young fellow there that had his bees behind him there that he was like agreeing with me and all. But I don't know. Like I say, I just was like, you know, they just I have to say one thing. The one fella that didn't check, I can kind of tell he was, what would you say? He gets not overwhelmed from his bees, but you know, the bees kind of are intimidating. That's it. They get the intimidating. I said, are they a sea of bees that you can't see no frames? Well, one is like that. I said, well, that's where they all should be. I said, if I don't see that in my hive, I get PO'd about it. And you have to get used to doing that. And well, I'm sure you're younger than I am, Joe. But anyway, you could tell the guy was intimidated, you know, as far as the amount of bees in a hive. And I get that part of it. And oh my. Well, Joe, why don't you come on into the live video part? We can hang out together. We can talk bees. But anyway. Hey, Mac, Tom. But it was just interesting. I'll have to say that much of it. So, hey, Dodd.
There's Joey.
Hey, where? Oh, okay. Hey, Joey. So you got your bees over the weekend, right? Monday, not you were telling that Monday, that way.
Yeah, we were. Becky was in bees feeding over the weekend, and they look really good. I mean, they look really good. They do look good and strong. So,
my concern right now is I took off my winter coverings and I didn't want to get them wet. I put them away. Now we had snow yesterday for a little bit, and then we had some wind today, but that's all died down. We're supposed to be in the 50s during the day for the next several days.
Yeah.
And then we're get some of the in the evenings and nighttime temperature are going to be low. But I don't know. I went out there yesterday, and I had that one strong hive that I show in my videos. It's a 24 queen. She's doing great so far. She already drank one of her juice bottles, and I put another one on. And I mean, they're not clustered. They're up. They're like coming through the hole. Like, what are you doing, taking this jar away, even though it's empty? We're looking for some more. And and that kind of stuff. I had a nuke like that. It was empty. Probably when I get out there tomorrow, there's another one there. They only had a little bit of syrup left, but I wanted them to drink it down. And I'm ready to put another bottle on there. Hey, Beehaver. And so, I mean, they're taking syrup down. I mean, and some of them have fondant and pollen patties left for them to eat. And I didn't put any more pollen patties. I figured the natural stuff is coming in. And maples, I'm starting to see some of my trees start to give them that little bit of a red tinge to it. So, like I said, probably that's where some of the nectar's coming, or not nectar, but pollen's coming in. And Mackey's taking off his winter coverings and stuff next week.
So I went to North Carolina today.
Oh, yeah, picked up some stuff.
Yep, and going down the road, going down to 81 to Roanoke.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, typically the side of 81 in the bloom season, it's full of different colored blooms and different types of tree blooms and everything else. It was bare until I hit Roanoke. When I hit Roanoke, all the Bartlett pears are out. The cherries are coming out. The red buds are coming out. The maples are blooming. Just about all the early stuff is out down there. And from Roanoke south, it's one huge bloom going down 220 into North Carolina.
I was going to say, you figured that maybe it's the heat dome around the city down there.
No. And you get out of Roanoke, about a mile or two north of Roanoke, it's like somebody flipped a switch. It's nothing. Yeah, I noticed that going down 220. It's all over the place on 220, Clay. And just I was like, well, I know what's coming, and I know how long before it's going to be here. So I've got about 2 weeks, maybe 3, and that bloom's going to be here. So,
hey, Chris. Yeah, I don't know. I just kind of, I would have felt better if I had my coverings on and insulation boards up top. But when you put that medium up top to put that quart jar up there, you can't use your insulation.
yep.
But hey, Russell. But anyway, that's where I'm at with the bees. And let's see. Like I say, feeding them some sugar water, try to stimulate them to have that milk brood in there. nice, instead of that dry looking brood in there. Here comes
Yep.
Roy from the deep north, or the cold north, or whatever you want to call it. Can you hear us, Roy?
Yeah, I can. It's real quiet though.
Hey, Roy.
Hey,
Looks like you're going to get some snow.
oh, it's already here. That's what I meant when I said get dumped on.
Yeah,
we
I
got
figured
about, we got a little over a foot out there now, and it's blowing, and they say it's going to be all weekend. So everything I lost, I was down to bare grounds coming back.
that.
And then what is it? The upper peninsula? They were getting so many feet up there too.
Yeah, it's coming all the way down. It's coming all the way down through Michigan on that. So got to think on the other side of the bridge, they're getting hammered. I'm like in the northern lower part of Michigan. About 40, probably an hour away from Mackinac Bridge. Yeah. I got one question before I hop back off because I'm having a hard time hearing. But I got 23 out of 29 hives that made it through this year. But I had one that was a triple deep. I just cracked the lid on a sunny day, and I looked down in there, and I thought, they're dead. So I pulled the box up. It was real light on the top. I had a ball of bees. I mean, it was a big cluster, and they just died not too long ago. They had a full box of feed right underneath them. Came back a couple days later because I didn't have time to dig all the way down to the bottom. Didn't have my hive tool. So I got down to the bottom, and it looks like a mouse shimmied in there and ate or something did. Would that force them up, keep them from dropping down into that box of food? Because they starved to death up there. They didn't move down.
Yeah, once they move past it, they're not likely to go back down to it.
Oh, okay. All right.
But they have been known to do it, but it's not likely that it's going to happen once they go past it.
Yeah, it was a monster. I was a little surprised how many bees I shook out of that thing. They were all dead right up on the top of the second box. Yeah.
Wow.
All my bees made it through. I mean, the big ones. I know a few weren't going to make it. They were just too small going into winter.
Hey, Bob.
With that one.
Hey, Dinah. So are you running wooden boxes up there where you're at with all that snow?
Yeah. I don't wrap anymore or do all that stuff. I just use 2 inches of foam insulation on top of them, and they're fine in there. I got one apame I thought was going to be dead, but that little ball of bees held on all winter long in there. But the wooden boxes, they did too. As long as we talk about it, as long as I got the mites down, cleaned up in the fall and they're well fed, I usually do all right.
Yeah, I was just curious, being in the severe weather that you have in the winter, where I would guess the insulated hive would be, more apt for what you're doing in your area.
Yeah, I'm in the low teens, and then we get into single digits in there. It's not like, Brad up in Canada or anything like that in there. Plus we got the lakes on both sides of us, keeping things a little nicer.
Yeah, but you're in Michigan. You get down below zero a lot.
Oh yeah.
A lot.
They made it through the last cold spike we had. No problem. And a lot of them had, the triple deeps had plenty of food. The doubles didn't. They were about ready to starve out. I had to pour the pond into them. So I'm gonna go with triples next year and just feed them back to sugar water, and then what I got in spring I got.
Joey's got a question. Now that Bosch machine looks like to me it's a spindle router. And
yeah, just my
it's a shaper, isn't it?
Yeah, in there. The little projects I started here and there. Works okay for me. I don't have enough room for anything bigger. So it's all small projects on that.
Yeah. Well, welcome, Joe, onto my chat.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
You'll have a much more enlightening experience here. Let me tell you.
I've learned a lot, so I appreciate it all.
And well, of course, you've been on. I just never put the two and two together from the other chat. But so, how are your bees, Joe? Are they been in them and all?
I got 25 out of 30 overwintered, which is pretty happy for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's good.
And two of
That's
those
real good.
losses were probably November, December, so that's even better. This is my
Right.
first big year. This is year 5, and this is the first I've tried to get more than 5, 10 through the winter, so pretty happy with it so far.
Yeah. Hey, Brian. Hey, Troy. Yeah, it's like Roy says there, you got to keep your mites under control, suppressed to get through the winter, and understand the feeding processes and things like that. And that was one thing that I've kind of learned this year with the fondant I've been getting, is that you can buy that big 50-pound block of fondant, and it's more or less just plain baker's fondant. And it's not bee fondant, in my opinion. I mean, that's something that I've kind of come up here just recently. And it's like, it isn't soft enough. It doesn't have any additives to it that help the bees, increase and whatever, live better and all that stuff. So, but, yeah, the other crowd over there, I don't know. They just don't have a clue as far as understanding what they're trying to do. Are you coming up to the to their 1-day convention?
Yeah, we're actually going to that. I did the online 2 years ago, and then they didn't have it last year. So I signed up again this year, and we decided to go down in person. About an hour and 45 minutes from there.
Yeah, that's about
Could be
how
good
long
day.
I am. I'm about an hour and 45 minutes from it. I figure I'll get up early and go up. Spend the day.
We're going the night before. Got some family in Westchester, so we're going down visit them for a while.
And all that. I could go up here. I don't know. I can get up early enough just to get there for that 1-day show. And I know Zach Lamas is going to be there. Actually, he just texted me here a little bit ago. So, Roy checked out, huh?
Yep. He said he was.
So, what have you seen in your hives in the last week or so?
The biggest thing I saw, which was really intriguing, and you hear people talk about it, and I never realized it till now. I've got one yard that's mostly Carniolan and Saskatraz, very small clusters. The queens have just started laying. I've got another colony that's mostly Italian. There's so many bees, and they've gone through pack and a half of fondant each one of them. Some of the Carniolans haven't touched the fondant at all yet that's on top of them. So that was the biggest thing I saw, that they're all there. They both look active. The queens all look good. It's just that those Italians are twice the size already. It was kind of shocking to see.
That's their trait. I mean, and sometimes I kind of wonder. Now I feel like I like those big super hives like that. And, a lot of people go to the carnies, which are more frugal and all that stuff. But I don't know. I like the big hives. It makes me feel better.
They were all small last year because I did split packages in 4x4 frame. I did the colonies are 4 on one side, 4 on the other side with opposite entrances. And I just took a package and dumped it over the middle of it and bought a second queen for the other half. So they were kind of small, kind of behind last year. They made me some honey, but not a lot. So this year we'll see. At the end of the summer, they were all big enough. I moved them out into 10 frames of their own and 10 frame double deeps and let them bring honey in the fall and fill those top deeps up. So we'll see how they do this year.
So you're making splits off it's a split split box, I guess you would call it.
Yeah, Martin sells them, and they're just you can put 4 frames on each side, and it's a basically a deep box with a divider in it, and then I
Yeah.
get 4 frames that go up each side, and it's like almost like a keeper's hive in a way because you have 2 queens and 2 sets of bees, and they lay in 1 super at the top, put a couple supers on top. But when I got those, I just bought 1 package of bees and dumped it over the divider and let them divide themselves. Took the package queen went on one side, and I bought another queen to go on the other side.
Okay. That's pretty neat. Yeah, it's like that's kind of like that sounds like a Michael Palmer hive almost. Got 4 frames on either side of the divider, right?
Yep.
Then you can put a whole super up on top or another divided box up on top.
So the bottom box is 1 box of the divider, and then there's 2 sets of deeps that are 4 frame boxes that sit side by side. So you go deep,
on top.
and then supers on top, and
Yeah,
get 2 or 3 supers on top.
That was a Michael Palmer design.
Yeah.
I know. I often thought about buying one of them. Better be sells them, and like if you have in that situation where you got a deep box in the bottom and you got it divided and you got say one side dies out on you, you just can't pick it up and dump it out onto the ground. You're gonna have to scoop it out with your hands, I guess, or a little scoop.
So I had one that died out, and because they're sitting on bottom board, I just let the other one in there for a couple weeks and put it in a 10 frame double deep after that because it was doing well. So at the end of the summer, all those 4 frames went into double deeps for the winter. Let them build through the fall. So that's actually it's the yard that's behind me. So they went from 5 packages to 10 double deeps by the end of the summer.
And he would overwinter them in that way. And he would talk about, where the cluster was towards the center wall because they were sharing heat and that kind of thing. And, but that was, he'd been doing that he was one of the guys that influenced me when it came to nukes and stuff like that back when I started 15 years ago. I was watching Palmer when he was over in England to that National Honey show that he did. And
it's actually the one right behind my head. I did overwinter 1 set of them, and I opened them up. We first got some warmer weather in early January. I opened the lid on the top, and you've got the 2 split frames there, and it's like there was no bees around the fondant. There was nothing up there. I thought both of them died. I took off the top deep, and they were all down in the bottom two deeps. And they overwintered in that right against the center wall. Both of them are right smack up against the center wall.
Yeah, Russell Joe's from Perry County, Pennsylvania, which is what, north of Chester area, or
we're right over the mountain from Carlisle. We're just south of Harrisburg, a little bit west of Harrisburg.
All right, so you're north of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania.
Yep, right off 81.
Off of 81? Okay.
Yep. Have you ever heard of the Carlisle car shows? In fact, I bought my first bees from Bob House. So
yeah, the Carlisle area. Well, you're up there next to Robert.
Yeah, I bought my first bees from him.
All right.
Yep.
Okay, now I know where you're at, up around the Carlisle area. And all. But and Roy was just in here. He said he overwinters well on 4 over 4 hives. And he's up in Michigan, which is like a freezer box state.
Yeah.
Hey, Lee, good to see you.
Hey, Lee.
I hope everything's going well with you and all that. But yeah, it sounds like to me you're doing quite well as far as learning how to multiply and grow and keep everything.
Yeah. This year, the big questions are splits because I've never brought enough through. Yeah, I bring 3 out of 3, 5 out of 9, stuff like that. This year, I'm gonna have enough of them a split, so I'm trying to decide how I'm gonna do my splits. I'm thinking about just doing I think I have 12 or 14 double deeps maybe
Mhm.
15. I'm maybe just doing double screen board and split them top and bottom. And then I've got queens ordered for the middle of April and just split them that way because I have 2 more yards I want to put bees in. I'm thinking that'll be the split all the double deeps and right in half and add queens and go with them that way.
So, what do you think that you've done here just recently that has improved your has given you a higher success rate?
I took no fall honey last year.
Okay. Fall honey. Okay. Fall
No
honey.
fall
Okay.
honey. The previous
actually
couple of years, I always tried to
you
get a
get a-
little extra honey in the fall.
You got a fall flow.
A little one. And I'd take that honey and then try to feed after that. I started feeding in September and didn't touch the honey boxes. Just didn't touch the deeps. I took all the supers off, and I think it was early July. Left them there till early September. Started feeding in September and never took any fall honey. And I've got some
and in past years, when were you taking fall honey off? What month?
in September, and then I'd start feeding late September, early October.
Okay.
So are you still doing it that way, Joe, or did you get hit with spotted lanternfly pretty hard?
We did not have much spotted lanternfly last year at all.
That's
So
good.
early September, I started putting sugar water on, went from 1.5 to 1 to 2 to 1 to Pro Sweet, and then put fondant on in November. And I never took honey frame off after July. Took the supers off, let them. And I've got some of the boxes down here at the house. They're Carniolans. They have 8 or 9 frames of deep honey in the top box that they never got into, that they had filled up from last year. And I think that was the big difference. I wasn't in there in October, November taking supers off and not giving them food and taking their food away from them. That they were filling those supers rather than the top deeps. And I'd have the white hives and try to feed them in October and November, and it just wasn't good enough.
Oh yeah, I mean that's too late.
Yep.
I mean, you're taking supers off in October and November.
No, I was feeding them. I'd take them off in late September, early October, and then try to feed them in October and November. And I just decided last year I wasn't going to do that.
No, I always my thing is I usually start around the 15th of September and I'm done by the 15th of October feeding for the winter time. And by the time that happens, I don't, take them apart or do anything. I'm done.
Yep, and that's more what I did last year. I was in there messing around, pulling supers off in September. They were getting food in September.
They got them boxes sealed up for the winter, and I'm done digging around and all that kind of stuff after I take my sugar top high feeders off. Now Thomas says here, he says the idea of a 10 frame footprint being split in half is great. The reality is a normal inch divider with 4 frames either side is, what is that word? Obnoxious, or read that.
Obnoxious.
Why is that?
That's my question. Why is it obnoxious?
Yeah, Thomas, explain that for us.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't be a 1 inch board, it'd be a 3/4 inch board most likely, or even maybe a 1/2 inch divider.
Yeah. Or
So I found with the ones that are split, I can fit, if I use Acorn plastic frames mostly now, I can fit 5 Acorn plastic frames in the bottom. And that split one. And then the boxes on top of that, I can only get 4 in them.
Okay.
I have a video on my channel. I can share. I don't think it's public. I'll have to make it public if everyone wants to go back and take a look at it.
When they hit the flow, they pull the frame. They most likely fill the frame so fast.
Yeah, you get some Burcombe in the top boxes where there's only 4.
yeah.
That's the downside. So I always push them to one side, make sure they're pushed to the middle, and then you get some Burcombe on the
You're
outside.
talking about because there's so much slop in there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I never really tried that format or that footprint.
But if you took your, if you had another box on top of them, and you put a piece of drone comb in that box, they're not going to put as much burr comb in there because they'll put it on that drone comb.
Yeah, I could try that.
True. I don't know. To me, the 4-frame thing is more of a, what would you say? It's like I like nuke boxes, 5-frame nuke boxes. If I got a small hive, I'll grow that hive and put another nuke box on and another nuke box on. And then if it's in a spot where I'm going to make it a 10-frame and not really move it or anything, it's manipulation of the bees. If you compact the bees on 5 frames,
Be right back.
let's say it's like, for me, I always tell people, take a package of bees, put it in a 5-frame nuke box. You compact it, you manipulate the bees, and if you ever watch a 10-frame box with a 3-pound package, you've got the majority of the bees will stay on those 3 to 5 frames in the center of the box. But then there's always these straggler bees, or I call them the what would you call it? The bees that are lazy bees. They're out on the outer edge frames. They're not doing you anything at all. And the other bees are there, working them frames, drawing the wax out. Let's say it's in, foundation and stuff like that. Where a nuke, you manipulate them. You force them to, all the bees in that box, to focus on those 5 frames to draw the wax out as you're feeding them 1-to-1. And then by that time, the queen's laying. She'll probably lay in those cups, cells, and they're only half drawn out. As they're drawing them out, she's got them filled up with eggs. And you get up to the point where they kind of starting to cap a little bit, and they're getting packed in there. They like to be tight, those bees do. And put another 5-frame foundation on top, and they'll move up and draw that wax out for you, and all that stuff. So I find the nuke box a great tool. And it's just like you in the 4 frames. To me, that's a tool to get those small hives started in that, keep them compact, put another 4 frames up on top, get them to draw it out. Now you got 8 frames, or like my nukes, if you get 5 over 5, you got a 10-frame box full of drawn comb and bees. And because, bees take a long time to go out sideways. They like to go up. And you're using their natural tendencies in a nuke box, in my opinion. So I think it's good. I mean, you're using that style of a footprint, and that's more of a starter hive, I guess you would call it.
Yeah, and that was to rebuild and get this, because I just started this yard last year and I wanted to get hives in there and get it started up. So they each made probably about a super honey or more over the summer, which really it's a package of bees. So they made a super of honey, and that was pretty good. Mm-hmm. And then in July, like I said, they all got separated, and then they're in 10-frame deep. And then I add a second 10-frame deep and just let them bring in the rest of the year and build that up. And they all went in and they all survived. And the double 4-frame did. So,
but then, like you were saying, you learned as far as the management part of it, as far as like around me, I don't really have a fall flow. I might have a fall pollen flow from goldenrod. Hey, Matt, and that kind of stuff. But as far as like we had spotted lanternfly 4 or 5 years ago, where within 2 weeks after I put my 3rd medium back on, putting them back into the winter mode, they pretty much filled that top box up. And I knew what it was, and I'm like, that's fine. Leave it there. It's theirs. And like you're finding out, let them keep what they've already brought in naturally, and then pour the sugar water to them in September and fill the hive up completely.
Yeah,
For
yeah. I just had to accept that we didn't have enough fall flow for me to get any fall honey.
yeah, fall pollen, but not much honey, I guess.
Yep.
And what you got wasn't worth harvesting anyway, probably as far as the amount.
No, not to then turn around and lose the colony over the winter.
Yeah, you figure the amount of bees you lost, the money you lost over the bees, wasn't worth it.
Yep.
And so there's that experience thing, Joe. It's like, oh, now I know, I want to do this at this time of the year. And, you want to do certain treatments at certain times of the year. You want to start feeding, you're going to do your summer. I guess it's some people call it spring honey. I don't know. I just call it, the season, the summer honey. You do that in July. If it shuts down in June, 1st of July, you start spinning that honey out. And then from that point on, you're prepping your hives to get through the winter.
Yep.
I mean, like this year, I started with Apricot in July, and I seen the results of what I did in July and in September by the 15th of November, where I didn't have any mites dropping out on my screen bottom board, chloroplast board. The mite after 208 treatments, there was no mites. I mean, I might have seen one mite on the board on the bottom because I'm not doing shakes at that time of the year. And whereas the year prior to that, I did Aprivar in July, and it took me till Christmas time to try to get those mites under control in my hives and stuff and all that. So it's what you do in July, you'll see the results 3 months later. It's quite a big, quite of an eye opener for me. Because previous year, I had 4 or 5 highs. I did OA on a Saturday, came back on a Sunday morning and checked the bottom boards. And I think I had 5 hives there that I did another OA that day, 2 days in a row, in order to get them under control or get I had so much of a knock or so much of a drop on those boards. They were covered. They were out of control.
Mm-hmm.
So I hit them again that same day to try to rein it in and get the mite load under control. So, and then even the bee inspector, that was the year I participated in the National Honeybee Survey. And she even, those folks, they don't really come out. Most of them that I know, they will not come out and say, do this. But that's your dog, Joe.
What's up? Yeah, he's barking back there.
I hear him. But she even said, are you going to just back this, for Aprivar thing up? And I said, sure am with Formic Pro. I think that was like the following Monday because it was Labor Day weekend or something like that. So, it worked out. Is JW in the house?
I haven't seen him yet. I've been looking for him.
Hey, DC, were you on the afternoon bee chat? Was that you on the screen? The Bob?
So I do have to say that I owe most of my knowledge to No Life University. So
Do what?
I owe most of my knowledge to No Life University because these chats
No
have been invaluable. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes I just hey, Mohammed. So it was you, DC. I was I was like, man, is that what the man looks like after 3 or 4 years? I've never seen him before. um, but yeah, it's just like back to the other chat we were on this tonight, and it's just like I don't know. I get I won't say aggravated, but I just like, where are you coming from? You know, education wise, I guess is what it amounts to. It's like they're so lost in the dark, and even the one who supposedly has 50 years experience is even worse lost in the dark than the rest of them. Yeah. You know, and sometimes he admits that, you know, I must have forgot a lot of stuff. And I'm like, yeah, old timers must be setting in on you or something. I don't know. Hey, Ryan. But yeah, I just you know, it's like he was talking about, what are you going to do in the hive after you get in there? And I said, you're not going to do anything, but at least you know what's going on.
Yeah.
It's the knowledge part of it is what it amounts to. And then I was trying to get expressed to him that you have got to put the fondant in direct contact. It doesn't do any good at all, what I've learned this year. And I mean, I'm not a fondant person, but this year I used it and it saved my bees. Yeah, because of the severe cold we had a month and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
And all that. When it's 6 degrees outside at nighttime, I knew that my friend Lloyd up here, him and his wife would say, if it's cold like that for so many hours or within 24 hours a day, I don't know, Bill, you might know better than me. Those bees will starve to death. Even though the honey's there, they can't move because it's so cold.
Right. They will not move side to side to go get honey.
Yeah, but I'm saying that the time for how much time do they have until they starve to death? You know,
it's usually somewhere between 18 to 24 hours.
Within 24 hours. I mean, that's nothing to us. And all that. Let me go get a drink.
And to them, it's a lifetime.
Yeah.
Yep. So Charlie's got the same problem JW had last night. He forgot to pinch the legs off the stink bugs before he ate one.
That's what I'm wondering if Michael's from 21st B, if those frames with the holes in them are going to help out with that. Allow them to get sideways a little bit.
Not really.
Those frames, the holes in them really do help during the flow, and they can get from one side of the frame to the other really quick. I don't know. I got to talk to him, but I don't know how much they would help in the winter with side-to-side movement, because they're not going to break cluster. Now, if you get the cluster that comes up on both sides of that frame, they'll move back and forth. Mm-hmm. But if it's between two frames, they're not going to move much.
But like we're saying, in that other chat, and then even here, if it's like this winter, if it was 6 degrees out at nighttime, they're in that dormant stage, or they're in a suspended animation. They're not moving at all. They're just there. They're there, and I seen Dirt Rooster down in Louisiana. He's used to all that nice warm weather all the time down there. Well, he got in there and all these bees are dead. It was cool that morning. He's not used to that. He threw all these bees on the ground. And as soon as the temperature rose about 15 or 20 degrees, the darn bees are flying. And, oh my gosh, the bees weren't dead. They were in dormant. They were just so cold. Torpor. Yeah, torpor.
It's called torpor.
Yeah. And hey, Travis. And they're not moving at all. They're just not going to move, period. And it's like I said about the fondant. I mean, I laid the fondant patties from Matt and the fondant from Strong Microbials and Hive Alive. I lay that stuff right on top, literally on top of the bee, so they are in contact with it, and then they can sit there and chew on that as they get a little warmer, I guess. I mean, of course, the bees that I'm talking about, they're, like Bill said, they're across the frame and up and over top of the frame and down. So they're in like a heap, and they'll utilize that fondant. But if you got it on a medium super above, or like that one guy was saying about, he had a super honey up there. I said, yeah, but what is it, Bill? The distance between the two frames, top and bottom frame, is what, 3/4 of an inch, half inch?
If that,
At least a half inch.
I'd say between 3/8 and 5/8 is the spacing between them.
But the spacing in between them, they're not going to go up into that, honey frame
No.
above that. Yes, I still have them on. I got insulation. Now I do have some juice jars on there, so but they were active. I was in there yesterday. It was 37 degrees, and the bees were right on them juice jars that were empty. That they were still trying to suck it out of the juice jars. And then when I took the juice jar off, they were coming up through the hole looking for more sugar water. When I put the new jar on there, so I look at it this way: the ones who are sucking it down, I think they're regurgitating to the other bees, and they're kind of like passing it down, or they're coming around like a revolving door, taking a load in of sugar water and then back down into the cluster and feeding everybody and all that. So, I still say, when it comes to fondant, buying that 50-pound block that they have up there, and I've done it, even my own club. I'm like, I won't never do it again. I'll buy bee fondant for that. It's soft, it's thin, it's pliable. You put it right on top of the hives.
Yep.
Yeah, I used a couple blocks of it this year, and I'm not sure if it's worth the hassle. It worked out okay. Got the bees through it.
The big 50-pound block. Yeah, you get there and you get your darn bread knife out and you try to heat it up. You try to put water on it. You try to saw it. I even tried to use a bandsaw on that stuff, and that was a big mistake. What a mess I had to clean up on a bandsaw.
You know what I found that cuts it best?
All right.
Spider wire fishing line. You can lay that block on top of it and get you 2 sticks, like a piece of piano wire, and you can just do this right up through it, and it'll fall right over.
Yeah,
and it comes out. You can cut blocks with it and everything else.
A double-handled cheese knife that has I think it's a 14-inch blade on it.
Yep.
It took a lot of down pressure, but I got done. I don't think I'm gonna do it again this year.
No, what you do is, Joe, is just take Sawmill 10 and get 10% off on it, and get some fondant, or get some Strong Microbial fondant. Get the super nectar, fuel.
Super fuel.
That's good stuff too. My bees have gotten both things. They do well so far.
Yep.
And all that. And I got one hive out there right now. I don't know. I think it's a nuke. And I raised it up. They had eaten all their pollen patty. Pollen was coming in. So they got a half of a bee bite in there, in between the brood boxes. Do like what Bill's done, one of those every month. See if that doesn't help. They're, it's got probiotics in it. It's got rocket fuel in it. It's got the algae extract. That's supposed to be good for brood rearing. So, looking for those big super hives.
Unfortunately, I have to use all this because I bought 6 boxes of it. I got it from a local place for $30 a box.
What's that now?
I bought 6 boxes of it.
Oh, yeah?
I got it for $30 for a 50-pound block.
Oh, you mean the fondant?
Yep, I've got it cut up and vacuum sealed in the freezer, so I probably have 2 more winters worth.
Well, that's true. As long as you got it cut up and everything, it's a pain.
Yep.
But but I'm glad that you finally kind of, dialed in your beekeeping skills there as far as getting them through the wintertime.
Yeah, hopefully.
Have you been in them, in the last, we've had quite a few nice days here and there throughout the last 30 days.
Yeah, I get in last weekend. I was able to get in, look for queens, found queens in most of them, found brood in all of them. So
yeah, I mean, like one guy said he wanted to see the queen, and I'm like, why? I mean, just if you got eggs, brood, and larvae in all three stages, you're done.
Yep, you're good.
I wasn't looking for them. I just found them. So
if you happen to see her, great, but you don't need to see her.
Yep.
And well, Uncle Junior, what you're talking about, it's got what was it? What is it? Baking soda in there or baking powders in the fondant?
some of it does. I don't think the golden barrel. I have like the golden barrel 90%. It's 90%
Corn
sugar,
starch.
and I think
You can
10%
get it
actually.
80 and you can get it 90.
I have the 90. Yeah,
90 with what is it? Cornstarch in it?
I think it's corn
Yeah.
syrup. I think it's sugar and corn
That's right.
syrup.
It's made with corn syrup, T55.
Cornstarch, Bat says. He's the resident chef. Don't worry about it, Uncle Junior. Just buy a Hive Alive. Use my code.
As I was cutting up those 6 boxes, I was thinking I'm never doing this again.
No, I think I bought 2 blocks. I bought 1 block one time, and like you said, you had some left over. And then I bought another block, and I'm like, after that, I was like, all right, I'm done with this garbage. And all that kind of stuff. But I just, like I was telling Matt when he sent me some fondant, I hated cutting them up. Well, Matt's fondant is way different than Baker's fondant, that's for sure.
Yeah, it is.
It's not hard. And then you can crush it, and then it turns into some nice smooth stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. Here comes Eddie. We'll get the down there where they got terrible humidity.
Yeah.
Y'all gonna laugh at what I'm about to say. So I've been grafting queens, and I got queens shipping out on Tuesdays, and we've got this cold snap coming. I don't know if y'all, it's not cold, but it's actually gonna get down to 32 on the day I got a graft, and I'm a little bit nervous about that.
I would be too.
I mean, we were 86 2 days ago.
That's when you should have been grafted.
I was. I mean, I graft every week. I wasn't expecting this cold. I mean, we're gonna have 2 nights that it's gonna be cold. It just happens to be right when I have to do stuff. And it's also, so I like to take my cells, and I've got some bars I've rigged up with roller cages, and I'll let them emerge in a queenless hive. But I don't want to do that if it's getting down to freezing. I'm gonna have to let them emerge in the incubator, because I don't know if they cluster, if they're gonna keep all of them warm. I'll probably lose the ones out on the outsides.
Yeah.
I know it's not cold for y'all.
32 is. I mean, it's freezing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, now, something you guys call 50 and 60 degrees cold, and that's like
I don't.
that's normal for me or comfortable.
Y'all are gonna be running around down there in stocking caps and scarves and gloves and everything else.
I mean, it's going to be 32 at night, but it's going to get up to the high 60s in a day. We've got 2 nights that are going to get down. It's going to be 32 one night and like 37 the other night. It just happens to be the wrong time, of which it would shift 2 days one way or the other. I got to stay on my schedule.
So are you grafting on when it's supposed to be cold? Is it what it was, or are you going to have grafts or cells in a cell builder?
Both. So I graft every Tuesday. I also ship queens on Tuesdays. I try to stay on my schedule. I graft on Tuesdays. They merge on Sundays. And
Well,
then
what I'm getting at is with your cell builder being cold at night, I would cover it up with I don't know, a piece of carpet, horse blanket, or something.
Yeah.
Kind
I
of
put
insulate,
some over.
kind of insulate it from the damp
I got
air.
some old carpet. I might throw that over. That might help.
That's what I use. I use carpet all the time.
I mean, I know it's not cold for the bees, but I figure for the cells, the ones in the middle, I'm sure be fine. But the ones towards the outside, I think the bees might cluster at that temperature, and they won't be anywhere around those anymore.
Yeah, if you got either some carpet or if you got some foam insulation, especially in the roof of your cell builder, put that in there would help. That kind of stuff.
I still have a hard time believing it's going to get down that cold. I had a swarm.
There you go, Mark. There's the Mr. Grafter himself. Graft less cells. Make sure the grafts are right in the middle.
I already kind of figured I was going to do that. Just 2 bars, and I'll probably only graft about a third.
Maybe 1 bar.
I got to get enough cells down.
What do you got on a schedule or what?
Yeah, I ship every Tuesday.
I know, but I mean, people are buying enough cells for that.
Yeah, and I've got a lot of people. I'm in this program with the Bee Lab down here, and Kent and I are providing cells to all the people here for free, and they're ready. A lot of the people down here think they're ready, but they're really. I don't think there's enough drones for some of them, but they want to do it. So, like, I don't want to raise queens yet. I want to wait another week on my mating yard. I mean, I'm grafting there, but I don't want to try to get anything mated because I'm not seeing as many drones as I'd like to walking around. Or flying, I should say. I see them walking around, but I don't see a lot flying yet. Although I had a swarm today. It was a bizarre. I looked up the swarm trap and I'm like, oh, there's bees on there, but it looked weird. It looked like an upside down mountain. Like it was a small little circle and it came down to a point. I'm like, that doesn't look right. And it was cool this morning. It was like 46. I walked over to it. There's a big old pile of bees on the ground. They were just falling off in clumps because it was too cold. And for some reason, I guess they swarmed yesterday and didn't go into the trap for some reason. It got too cold and they were all dropping on the ground. But by midday, they all started moving around. I thought they were dead originally. And then by about 4 o'clock, there were no more bees on the ground. And they all moved up into the trap. The bees are already swarming down here.
Yeah. Well, let's see. Brad, he said he had his first swarm down there next to you. Cajun. And all. Yeah. I don't know. You could, like I say, Mark said, you could, put it in there where they got more bees around and keep those cells warm.
Yeah, I probably will graft a little less. I might beef up the builder a little bit, but my builders are so strong. I'm a little bit worried about that too, because all the bees can't really fit in the box.
Is your cell builder full?
Oh yeah, very full.
So you're shipping bees to other, like from me, like how I want bees from you. You're shipping them to me, right?
Yeah. I mean, I haven't had anybody order from real far away yet. I mean, I got.
Oh no,
Atlanta.
I'm understanding that when you say you're shipping, you're a queen producer and you're shipping them through the mail.
Yes.
Or whatever.
UPS overnight. I don't trust the postal service anymore.
I'm assuming you're shipping virgins.
Yeah, I'm shipping virgins. Everybody would like me to do the mated queens. I'm not big enough for it. I can't get enough mating nukes to ship a decent amount. I mean, I do mated queens locally, and honestly, I could sell probably 5 times what I can make. But virgins, I mean, you can make tons of virgins, and I got a really
That's what I did. I
breeding
sold a lot of virgins last year, like you said. And then you get the situation where all the new beekeepers out there, or most of the beekeepers, have only been taught to understand one thing, and that's a mated queen.
Yep.
They don't been not taught how to install a virgin or anything like that.
Yeah, I try to get people to read the stuff on my website. I have suggestions on there. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to do it, you know. But I still think that the most reliable way is to make them queenless, or I like to kind of pull a nuke out actually and move it to a different spot. So you got mostly nurse bees, and wait 5-7 days, go in, tear down all the cells, and then install your virgin. And most of the time that works, I think.
How are you installing the virgin? Let her walk in.
Well, I tell people to just candy release them. I'm sending them in a candy cage. I walk them in all the time, but if somebody's buying a queen, I want them to have the best chance for success. I think the best chance for success is candy release.
Are you telling them a 3-day release or a shorter release?
It's about a 2-day release with the candy I'm using. I had to test it out a little bit this year. I found out this year, I just started shipping them. But, before, I was only making candy for myself. And then I did some research and found out you can't use honey in your queen candy if you're shipping your queens. So I had to use the corn syrup thing. And I don't like the consistency of it. I don't trust it as much.
Yeah, I'm going to jump off. Thanks for the invite and thanks for the knowledge, guys. We'll see you in the future ones.
Yeah, Joe.
See ya.
Thanks for coming in, and I'll see you maybe next Friday on the other show too.
Yep, possibly. Thank you. Bye.
All right, later.
Yeah, so if you're doing a short release, are you doing soft candy or dried out candy?
It's pretty soft. I mean, I make a ball and pretty much keep working it until it's not sticky anymore. It's a little bit harder than Play-Doh, I would say. But it's not runny. Like I took a couple cages. I was worried about it getting in the humidity and the heat, it getting running. So I stuffed a couple cages and put them in my incubator where I've got the humidity at like 80-something%, and it's hot in there. And I wanted to make sure that it wasn't going to run out or anything, and it didn't. It stayed fine.
Yeah.
I just don't know if it's going to dry out. I haven't noticed any of it drying out yet, but I haven't been using it for very long. I really liked using the honey. I can't believe I can't do that, but supposedly it's not okay.
I've heard that in Virginia.
What's that?
But you can't use honey in your fondant. That's what Ryan Williamson said.
Yeah, I was told that I can't use honey and ship them out of state. Was the deal. So,
and who's that inspector?
Mark. Oh, I can't remember. He's the guy that's in charge of the apiary program here. Mm-hmm. I can't remember his last name right now. I talked to him about. He's still learning a lot too. We evidently had an apiary. The guy that was in charge of it for a long time here retired 2 years ago or 3 years ago. There's a newer guy doing it. In fact, he's supposed to come inspect me next month again. But
Uncle Junior said the honey will drip out. Well, the honey, when you're making a candy, I mean, I use powdered sugar, 10x powdered sugar, and like you say, a little bit of what's that syrup? And the corn syrup or K-Rose syrup.
Yeah.
Put that in there and you just keep working it. Like you say, and then you get it to where you got the powdered sugar on your hands and you just keep making a ball, and then you just keep pushing it in that tube. Yeah. Works for me.
I don't enjoy making queen candy. My forearms feel it later. And I feel like it's harder to do with the Cairo syrup. I felt like it was easier to do with the honey.
Brad there, Bert says something because of AFB way back when.
Mark's got a good question for you too.
I'm selling them for 20, and I don't get the other part of that question.
What strain of bee are they?
Oh,
So Italians, and what
they're
strain of
pretty
bee?
much pole line. I'm part of a breeding program with the USDA Bee Lab down here. Dr. Rankovich supplies us with genetic material, and he's helping us with our breeding program. Kent Williams and I pretty much distribute it in the area. And
So you're down. Kent comes down your way.
oh no, so sorry, we have a Kent Williams here also. Different Kent Williams, not
Different
Kentucky
Kent Williams.
Yeah, this is Louisiana Kent Williams. But he and I are the ones that are all gung ho on this breeding program, and we're doing harbor assays, and just let's say we get breeders and cells from Frank each year, just for 5 years. He thinks after 5 years we'll have our programs pretty good.
Well, that pole line, I heard that was more of a breed of bee for the pollinators or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm liking them. I mean, they're not 100%. I mean, I guess the cells I get.
What's their characteristics?
Super calm. I mean, I work bees in a t-shirt. If the weather's really rough, I'll put a long sleeve shirt on, even a jacket, but it's very, very rare. I almost always am working bees in a t-shirt and a veil. They brood up like an Italian. They're very gentle. They're very hygienic. There's lots of uncapping happening. And you got mites. They let you know even before you're doing your washes, but we do a lot of washes here. And if I got stuff that's washing bad, then they get treated. I'm not treatment free. I'd like to get there, but I don't know if it'll ever really happen. Last year I treated about half of my apiaries. Not all of the apiaries had some hives that got treated. About half of my hives total got treated. The other half, we'll see how it goes. So far, so good. They all scored really well in harbor assays. So, and I'm only breeding from stuff that scores a 4. At least so far, I'm able to have enough breeders that score 4s on harbor assays.
So if you're using a breeder queen, right?
Yeah, well, I've got a bunch of breeder queens.
Okay. So, and if you're getting varroa sensitive hygiene and high hygienic behavior off those Poline queens, off the first daughter, if you take that first daughter and use her as a breeder, do you see any reduction in the varroa sensitivity and the hygienic behavior after that?
In some of them, but not all of them. You got to keep selecting for it. You know, each year I go through and I'm doing round after round of mite washes. You know, some stuff makes it, some stuff doesn't. And Dr. Rankovich says that it's going to be like that. You never can stop selecting, you know, because it's a recessive trait.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can't just say, I'm going to keep this line of bees. I'm not going to have mites. It's just not going to work. You got to always be checking and always just breed from the ones that are doing well. And you're going to have some that aren't going to do well, you know?
Yeah. Okay. Because I had read that when you're using breeders and your first daughter, if you take that first daughter from any one of the particular breeders and you breed her and you check her daughter for hygienic behavior, it'll show signs of being reduced slightly or greatly reduced because the trait goes away the further down you breed it.
It does. And so I've been flooding the area with the right drones too. So
and that's a good thing.
Yeah, I get a lot of cells from them, and the cells that I'm getting from them, I'm not selling anything like that's coming from them. Like part of the deal is we can't sell anything we get from the bee lab. But yeah, I've got a lot of breeders, and each year Frank comes down and we actually go to Kent's house and we all bring frames from the ones that look like they're doing really well, and they do a bunch of harbo assays on them. We do harbo assays too, and then I don't ever want to monopolize their time, so I only bring about half of what I think is going to be good, and then I'll do the rest of them on my own. I mean, there's been a lot of time working on our stuff, and it's not that hard to do a harbo assay. It's just a little bit tedious.
It's time consuming.
Yeah, it is. But so not everything that's in my breeding program came from the bee lab. So some of my original stock scored a 4 on a harbor assay, and he's like, "Well, that's good to go. You know, as long as you're scoring well, it doesn't have to be one of ours. As long as you've got the VSH trait, you're good to go."
Yeah.
You know? And I try to put a lot of the cells I get from them in my drone yards, which are about a mile out in a bunch of different directions from my main mating yard. I think that helps too. It's going to take time. I mean, I'm hoping, but he says the goal is that about 80% of our bees will end up having the trait to a high degree if we do everything really well. So that's about what they get there at the bee lab, about 80%.
They're trying to repeat that process is what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
See if it's repeatable.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like to me that you're taking it, and like you were saying, you're putting drone yards in an area around your other yards. I mean, you're doing it to where most people don't have that ability to do it or have that kind of time to
Yeah.
be able to put the drone yards in an area within your area of your main hive and stuff and all that. Is that you or me?
That was my phone. Sorry. Yeah, I was really surprised, especially the first year of the program, at how few people would take me up on me giving them queens. You know, that's been a little bit of a hurdle. I'm finally starting to get some of the people that are around me. Cause I've got some other beekeepers within a few miles in some directions, and they just didn't want to. They didn't want to take my stuff in the beginning. But I guess they're
Now
kinda,
you got now the word's out. The rep,
yeah.
Yeah.
And originally it was a time thing because we were getting the cells so late from the bee lab. Like we won't get stuff from them until late next month. So everybody here, I mean, they're doing splits now. They don't want to wait till then and do it. So we're just grafting for the people here, and then we'll take those and add them to our stock a little bit later. I try to push as many of my splits off the latest as I can to use their queens with. But now I finally got several other beekeepers within a few miles of me that are taking my queens. I got a guy coming to pick up 20 cells tomorrow from me. That's about 3 miles northeast of me. In the last 2 years, I was trying to get him to take stuff. So, I don't know. And I got a bunch of people. I don't know. Like, man, I'm giving them to you.
Are you giving them to you to saturate the area? Is what you're
Yes,
trying?
I'm trying to saturate the area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like you say, you're in an area that has high density population of bees, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And all that. And like you say, I mean, I've heard this. Megan Milbreth did the same thing. She was in upstate Minnesota or wherever she is. Like she go to all the other people. Let me requeen your hives for you and that kind of stuff. So she was trying to get the genetics. Just keep it all the same.
And I've been trying to do that too. Like I say, it's been a little bit more of an uphill climb than I thought it was going to be. I figured offering people free queens that are, I would think, fairly sought after, and I think people were skeptical because it's free. Like something's got to be wrong with this. It's free. But I think people are finally starting to acknowledge that there could be something to this VSH thing, and even if the VSH doesn't work, I mean, people see my bees and it's like they're doing really well, and they see that they're super gentle and that I almost never wear a jacket because I do not deal with the mean bees. I got no tolerance for it. It's too hot and humid down here to be wearing that big old suit.
Yeah. It's I mean I don't know. It'd be nice. And I think that's the goal of all this here science is that if they can get that the nucleus of these hygienic bees. You start here, and then you get certain an outlie of other beehives, in other guys' yards, and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger as far as the genetics out there. And that's what it will take in order to get it naturally, a naturally area covered with hygienic bees.
I kind of feel like this year I think we're going to see a big boost in it here because so I've been in the programs to year 3. I feel like our drones now should have had a little bit of effect on the feral population. Like a lot of the feral bees have probably been mating with my drones, and so I'm hoping that we get a little bit more of that trait in the feral population because we have so many bee trees and stuff like that down here. And I mean, I think that is another way we're going to see it. And I think Frank agrees too. He's like, probably after year 3, you should see a decent bump, I don't, eventually he wants to take random samples from our apiaries when we do the testing. Right now, like he talked about how we saw a big increase last year from the year before, but that's really misleading because we're only bringing him our best stuff to test. I'm not bringing stuff to get tested that has high mite counts. So he really doesn't have any way to know that it's any better last year than it was the year before if we only bring him the really good stuff.
Well, I was just watched video from Ryan Williamson, which is close to where Bill is, just across the mountain. And he said his inspector was there here in the last week or so when it was warm, I guess. And he's developing his own genetics, as far as mite resistance. And collectively, I think he had 3 or 4 different apiaries and a lot of ones and maybe zeros, and that's it. And he had 150 treatment-free bees, hives, out of 300, something like that. He did lose, I forget how many of them, but he's doing this. He has the same issues like you say. You got a certain area, group of bee colonies here that are really hygienic, and then you always got that oddball one here and there that either he needs to treat or they die out because of varroa and that kind of stuff. But and then he was talking about, trying to keep management of all that information and stuff and understanding, just by looking at the hives, but, push pins and different things. And it's a huge effort on anybody trying to
try his blue tape thing this year. I was taking notes on the lids, and that worked for me for a while. And I always just used the previous year paint pen for the queen marking pens and write on. That worked well. And last year, somebody's like, "Why don't you just use a Sharpie?" And I'm like, man, the Sharpie writes so much better on the lid. Well, what I didn't think about is the sun erases that. So all my notes from last year disappeared on all the hives. I'm like, I should have realized that.
Something that I have on my cell phone, I got the thing called Color Notes. It's a little free program that either has check boxes for, like, I have a grocery list on there, and let's say if you have potato chips, you can tap it with your finger, and the name of the product comes up, and then when you pick it up at the store, you just tap it and it strikes a line across it with a check and that kind of thing. But also there's a tech side of it, and I'll sit there for the last 4 or 5 years and I make a diary entry into it. All right, today I did this, and I generally say, okay, all the hives got juice jars, all the hives got pollen patties, or hive numbers 26 had a queen issue or something like that. And then here this year, and then last year, I finally got all my hives numbered with numbers. And then I also I went in there, and each hive, I know what the year the queen is in there. So I have a just a regular tab, clipboard here. I don't know whether I can show that. No, I guess not. No. Anyway, all it is just a bunch of squares, sort of like rectangular boxes, and each represent a hive. And then I have them hive 1, 2, 3, and down and through that. And then I'll have in there, it'll say 2025 queen. And then here recently, like hive number 18, I put the second juice jar on. So I just make a pencil notation of that, or a pen. And I just take that clipboard out there right quick, and if I touch these numbered hives and I do a specific thing, I just kind of put a little quick note on there, and that kind of thing. Then you could bring it back to your computer, and then you could have some type of hive logging program where you can put all that in there. I did have. It was a program you have to pay for it though, and I was like, you know how it is, you're too cheap. It's I'll have to find it here. It's at APIOLY, and it's somebody has come up with a kind of a very, I have to say, computer friendly hive tracking program, and you can kind of stack it the way you want, as far as like mite treatments and different things that you do, and then you can just say, you did that here and you did this here, and it just kind of it's sort of an automatic check off box for what you're doing per hive and that kind of thing. And then you could probably write your own little add-ons to it. Let's say doing a Harbo test for that hive, you got this out of it percentage wise, number 5, number 4.
Yeah,
You'd have
track of all the mite wash stuff in a binder. Thank God. I said I used to keep notes on the lids. I did like that. Then last year I kind of messed it all up. But I'm trying the blue tape thing on the side too, with the Sharpie. I saw Ryan Williamson doing that, and it seems to work.
Oh, you put painter's tape across and writing on that?
Yeah, I'm putting that on the box. It's not as bad direct in the sun. And we're gonna see how it goes. I don't know. I'm trying.
I used to buy the cloth medical tape put on there, which was more, but you couldn't get the stuff off after a while. And like you say, the Sharpie does fade out. Yeah. And then I use, and I think they don't even make them anymore, these they came out with the extreme notepads, and they'll hold up towards the weather and everything, and they'll stick onto the lid. And I still use them because I got them, and I'll write some notes on there that I want to, I put bee bites on this one, and I put, super nectar fuel on there and stuff like that, and in the date type of thing. And I do that. And then I also use my phone, like I said, with the color notes, and I'll sit there and dictate a general of what I did in the whole apiary for that day. And I find that nice to go back to a year later, go back a year and see what you did about that time of the year. Kind of gives you an insight of what maybe you need to be doing.
A couple years ago, I tried one of those little like dictaphone things. It seemed like a great idea. It was voice activated. You put it in your pocket, and just when you started talking, it'd start recording. And in my head, it was a great idea. And I'd go to a hive. I'd say the hive number. I'd talk while I was going through the hive of what I was seeing. But the problem was, later on, I figured I'd just go put it in a binder. Oh, now I got hours of listening to what I got to do, what I was doing all day in inspection. It was just too much time. And it didn't
just like that clipboard there. A clipboard, it was like, because I got my hives numbered, and I got each, a square for each hive, And I'm not saying you're writing the whole story about each hive. It's just maybe a particular thing that you did to that hive. Like, all right, I put pollen patty on there, or something like that, and or I did something more of a permanent thing, like shims or whatever. Um, Anyway, it's a little more convenient if I'm tracking hives or tracking queens or tracking maybe a medication for that hive. Let's say I'm doing OA on that hive or OA or whatever, do that kind of stuff. But a lot of times, if I'm doing OA, I'm doing it on all the hives. That's where I go to my little color notes thing and in my thing. All right, on this date, I did OA vape on all hives in the yard. And that's, and that's all I need to know. I don't need to know that every, the particulars for each hive.
I put that kind of stuff in the calendar on my phone. Like if I did something to a whole bunch of hives, at the end of the day, before I leave that yard, I go into the calendar and add an event.
Yeah, well, see, like here, this is just it's like a notepad. And I start out with, I give it the date, the weather conditions, and the, temperature and that kind of thing. And then I sit there and dictate, I went through all the hives and did OAV. And then let's say hive 21, I did a particular thing to that hive that day. And that kind of stuff. And that's it. It's more of it's more or less the broad general description of what I did to the yard in there and that kind of, and then some individual hives. But if I'm tracking a certain particular thing, I got my clipboard too. The main thing with my clipboard is, okay, is this a 24 queen, a 25 queen, or like this year, it's just, have they been requeened with a 25 or 26 June queen? Where I've made the queens.
Do you not mark your queens?
I do. I try to. My problem this past year was I made a tremendous amount of virgins, sold a bunch of virgins, and trying to find the queen and get rid of her and put a new queen in. And I was trying to drop virgins in. You say you got a website with how-to type stuff?
Yeah.
What's your website name?
NorthshoreBees.org.
All right.
Yeah, I don't have much to do with the website, but there's a lady that's computer savvy in our group that used to build websites for a living. So she does all website stuff for me, and I help her with the bees.
And dual trading.
Yeah.
And all that. But
I am not a tech guy at all.
I'm not a website builder or anything like that, but I like my computers and stuff. But like I say, I started with this clipboard here just in the last week or two and put in there. And now I can look at, oh yeah, that's a 24 queen or that's a 25 queen. I don't have to go through my phone. It's just, it's like computers and electronic storage is fine, but you sometimes have to dig for it. It's like having a computer-based business invoicing versus handwritten books. Well, in some instances, the handwritten book is better because you can flip through the page. Oh, there you are. This was the order here, and that's the way we do it here at the mill. I tried QuickBooks years and years ago, and if you don't, that's where you have to have a number for every customer that comes through the door. That way it keeps all their records together in that computer thing where, you don't have to do it quite that way. The only thing I have to do is go back through a bunch of books to find what month did you buy something, and go through the book. Oh, there it is. I have to dig it up that way. But,
I do the queen information on the blue tape too. Like when I see a queen, when I did an inspection, it gets a Q. She's going to be marked 99% of the time, but a check mark means she's marked, and then after the check mark, I put whatever color she was, which pretty much everything.
Yeah, well, see, that was another thing I did on my
bee.
right. It's just same thing, same program. It's called Color Notes, and I don't know if you guys see that. Is it? No, it will not come up. Anyway, I have number one, which is hive number one, and then I found that you can put a dot in it, and you can get the colors blue, yellow, whatever, and that's the color, the queen color for me. And I keep it electronic version of that here. But then I said, okay, let's do the clipboard method here, which for me, instead of digging my phone out and trying to take my gloves off and do all this stuff and all this sticky crap all over my phone, I just got the clipboard right in front of me. Okay, yeah, that's queen 25 queen, 24 queen. I might make a little quick note with an ink pen. And it's just another way of it's a kind of a duplicate record, but a little bit more convenient.
Yeah, my poor cell phone is looking rough these days. I don't wear gloves either. Even on the rare occasion I have to put a jacket on, I really don't do the glove thing. So my hands are covered in propolis all the time. So whenever I have to pull it out, I hate that I have to do it when I'm doing bees. It's all sticky and nasty and stuff. But my hands smell good.
Yeah, Galloway, I don't use QuickBooks anymore. That's a Microsoft product nowadays, I think.
No, it's Intuit. It's made by Intuit.
Yeah, but I didn't Gates buy them out or something?
No. Intuit is Intuit, and it's expensive because now if you want QuickBooks for business, it's QuickBooks Online.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Yeah,
they did away with the enterprise QuickBooks. They don't support it anymore.
I used it or looked into it years ago. I don't do any of that. I try to do, it's like my bee business. I do spreadsheets, that kind of stuff. I can't integrate them, but I can. I got enough information coming in. It's good enough that way. All that. Now I was back to the queen thing, Eddie. I introduced versions, direct introduction. I didn't wait to 5 days, where they were hopelessly queenless type of thing. And I did it in a queen cage with attendants. And sometimes it worked out and sometimes it didn't. And the best thing I've had in the past years is just take the cell and go into a mating box and put, a 2-frame mating box and put that cell in there, let her hatch out and let her go do her natural thing. And I had a higher percentage of acceptance in mating that way than I did this past year.
And I feel like that's almost like you're dropping a nuke into a hive pretty much, and that's really high percentage when you do that, I think.
Well, that was something I just was listening to a guy up here where we were talking about it here with Brian with Doolittle's method, where he wrote about where you had a queen that was mated and you took her on 2 frames, put her between 2 frames of brood and food and brood and on her eggs and larvae, all 3 stages, have her in between the 2 frames as like a sandwich and pull the old queen out and put that right in. And Doolittle said that out of 60 hives, he had 59 of them accepted. And basically, it's the saying where, if you put a laying queen in a hive, is a higher, you can do that versus a queen that isn't laying. and that kind of thing. So that sounds interesting to me. I'm going to read up on it. That would be that would alleviate the cage and the candy and everything else. You know, you just pull the old queen out, put 2 frames in with a new queen in, and the only thing that I might try, I'm going to try this year, is I'm going to start doing the peppermint sugar water spray. Everybody gets sprayed with that, and they all smell the same. And then when they get done licking each other, they all love each other.
Yeah, I haven't heard anybody doing it. Peppermint. There's a doctor down here at the Bee Lab, Liz Walsh, I think is her name. She says to use vanilla extract in water.
Yeah, it'd be the same thing.
Yeah, it's probably the same thing.
You get a vanilla extract, or it might smell different, smell better. I mean, that was one of the things that the what is it? The new smoker out, the smoker gun. I forget what they call it. The B-Tech smoker. He's got a new combination of liquid for the smoker fuel, which has a smoky smell to it, and it's got vanilla extract in it, or vanilla smell to it. And the bees actually responded good as far as being to push the bees down and all that stuff. Hey, Norman.
Hi.
Now you got ducks.
We can't hear you.
How about now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, got you now.
There we go. I got to press the little red button so I can talk. But yeah. Earlier this week, my computer got real cranky, and basically all my presets for everything are gone. So this is all I could find right away is ducks.
What do you mean? Your picture of your hives behind you?
Oh, everything's gone. Yeah, my like getting into any like into Facebook or YouTube or any other place I go, it's like all my get into it information is gone. All my passwords are gone. Everything's gone. So yeah, good times. But yeah, these are my ducks. There are many like them, but these ones are mine.
Yeah, Dinah, she says she just uses sugar water. Now I'm going to have an assignment from the teacher out in Denver.
Yep. I got a good book you can read, Charlie.
What's that?
It's called The Beekeeper's Bible.
I think I've heard of that one.
It's got a lot. It's got tons of information in it.
I just ordered the GM Doolittle book from Wikibee, or from Larry Connor's press company. So we'll see how that works.
Which book?
GM Doolittle. Doolittle, back for 100 years ago. He's a guy.
Doesn't he have more than one book though?
Huh?
I thought there were several books by him.
Well, this is the one that Larry Connors has, his publishing company. He's got about a dozen or 24 books that he publishes. But he republished the GM Doolittle files, I guess you would call it. And I figured I'd start there. A lot of his books, I've had some of his books in the past, but they're kind of, I don't know, they're kind of poorly written. This is supposed to be basically a reprint of the old stuff. So we'll see.
Yeah, I've got a few books by Larry, Dr. Connor, and there's some good information in them, but I don't like when he refers to stuff in other of his books. Like you'll be reading, and there's like for more information on this subject, check out this book. And I'm like, why can't you just all be right here?
I got Scientific Beekeeping, and that was one of.
I've got Scientific Queen Rearing, maybe by Doolittle. That's a book, right?
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it's on my
something like that.
Shelf.
And what's the one? What's the one? It's an old book. It has different volumes. I think that Date Ant puts out A Rye Root, which was called The Hive and the Honeybee or something like that.
I've got it. I can't. I've got a ton of old beekeeping books, and I'm surprised when I read through them how much stuff. I mean, there's good information in them. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of great
And
stuff.
how much still applies.
A lot applies. That some stuff they talk about. I'm like, well, I've been taught not to do that. You know.
Yeah. Well, you were right on the title of your book. It is Scientific Queen Rearing.
Yeah. Okay. That's the one I have. I want to say that when I ordered that, I saw several of the books by Doolittle. That's just the one that I'd gotten because I'm kind of hooked on the Queen thing. Try to read as much as I can.
Well, we got YouTube too. Like,
Yeah.
No need to read anymore.
Sometimes
Yeah,
I like to read.
Going back and
highlight.
reading the old books and the way things used to be done when people were really starting to keep bees and coming up through the early years of beekeeping here in the States, a lot of that stuff still applies, even though we are adding in varroa mite stuff. How to combat the varroa mite. They didn't talk about it in those books because it didn't exist then. So there's a whole list of books for Doolittle. So you've got classic queen rearing, scientific queen rearing, a year's work in the in and out apiary, a year's work. There's three parts to that one. A year's work in the out apiary.
Yeah.
It amazes me that he came out with grafting way back then. You know.
Well, he's actually the one, from what I gather, is the one who actually invented it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. I can't. It's hard to believe he came up
Hey,
with it.
yeah.
Like
Bustin' Bees, what's your first name and where are you located at? Yeah, I've known about him and I've listened to different things. I just got this new book coming in. I actually ordered it last night. Andrew.
Plainwell, Michigan.
You're on the list, Andrew.
You've been added to the spreadsheet.
Michigan.
Yep.
We just like to, let her, I like to know everybody.
Yeah.
We can just.
That's a responsible thing to do if you can keep track of everybody's names and places and emails and all that.
I am not good at. Norman, are you in Canada? Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yeah,
Vancouver,
that's what he said. He sounds just like Ian.
He does. That's why when I first
think I
heard
just
him,
remembered it from
I looked at the
previous
name
chat.
and I had to do a double take because I heard his voice. I was like, no, that's not Ian.
He's out there on the West Coast there on.
We are so far apart, me and Ian.
Yeah,
Like,
you're out. You're out.
I'm sure like half of you guys are closer to me than Ian is.
Well,
Like, but how the crow flies. But yeah, I guess we all.
yeah,
talk
but
this-
that's where you're going around Japan and coming back on the East Coast.
Yeah, fair enough.
Now,
All
but
right,
you're out
boy,
there.
watch it now.
You got to go around half the world to to be close to us.
So, how far away are y'all from starting to graft up there?
Oh, at least
Right now, my bees, they still have just like little bits of brood right now. So I'm like, there's cherry, like the super early cherry trees, like those Japanese cherry trees are kicking out blooms, and the alders when the weather's good. Like we just had snow up until like yesterday. And it was kind of the first snow of the year, but it's just cold and wet. recently. Like we had a good week of weather about a week ago, and the alders were just like, they were bringing in the alder pollen. But short answer long, about a month.
So you're on, what is it, Vancouver Island?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, right in the middle there.
I'm looking at it. You're at
Look up Duncan.
Duncan?
Yeah. Look up Duncan, and I'm west of Duncan.
I see.
No, I saw
Are you
that
in the middle of the park?
Sort of. There's a lake called Cowichan Lake. If you look that up, I'm kind of halfway between Duncan and Cowichan Lake. That's where my home apiary is and where I live. And then I have
You're down at the bottom end of it, counting late.
Yeah, the bottom third. Yeah.
And where do you say you're at, Duncan? I see Duncan.
There you go. So yeah, I'm west of Duncan, towards Cowichan Lake, which is the big lake that's just straight
So
west.
you're in Hillcrest?
Yeah, around there.
Or Paldi, Paldi.
Poldy.
Poldy.
Yeah. That's actually an old-timey East Indian settlement, which is kind of interesting. There's a lot of history to that place.
What, native Indians there or something, you mean?
Dot, not feather.
The what?
Dot, not feather.
Oh,
Have you never heard that?
You mean like?
Okay, we got two kinds of Indians in Canada.
I know what
We
you're
got
talking about.
So you got
East Indians,
you got dot heads.
Native Indians.
You got dot heads. I guess.
Sure. Yeah, we got those. But there used to be a big sawmill close to here, and it's long gone. It's like basically it's melted into the ground. And this is probably about 70, 80 years ago. And that right on Paldi, there was an East Indian colony essentially, and they're all gone now too. It's all there's a Sikh temple there still, but that's about all.
Huh.
But yeah, there's just nothing here. It's great. So I got my home apiaries there, and then if you look, kind of east and south towards Victoria, there's a golf course where I got my other apiary. It's called Arbutus Ridge, which is a fancy golf course, and I got my other apiary there. And then there's a few other ones I'm setting up this year, but I can't put them on the map just yet.
So you cannot get to your island without going across the ferry, can you?
Nope. There is we have a cover charge.
A cover charge.
So there ain't a bridge nowhere.
Mm-mm.
So when the Strait of Georgia here,
Yep.
when from Vancouver mainland to Namanito or something like that, Naimo.
Nanaimo.
All right, from that shoreline to Vancouver, the city, I guess it's the city of Vancouver. How many miles across is that? As you were saying,
I can tell you it takes 2 hours on the boat.
Takes you 2 hours on the boat.
The boat goes about 25 knots.
Which is what, 20 miles an hour?
Probably like 27 miles an hour.
I don't know.
Knots are bigger than a nautical mile is bigger than a standard mile. Like
I was just wondering, you have
bridges, I'll just say it's like it's 40 miles. Like it's not 40 miles, but I'll just say it's 40 miles. It's
right.
Like it's not that far.
No, that's pretty good ways. I guess they wouldn't be able to build a bridge there, or maybe a tunnel.
Well, they could, but it would take a lot of money.
Yeah, well. All right, Joseph, we'll catch you later.
Night, Joey.
See you tomorrow night.
Yep.
Good
Oh,
night.
night, Joey. I didn't know you were on here.
Yeah.
He's checking up on you.
So I had a fun thing happen in the last week here. Had all my freight packages show up while we were having our one big snowstorm of the year. So I had this, this poor young fella, East Indian fella, show up driving a truck with no tread on its tires through 6 inches of snow.
Oh Lord.
And where I'm at, it's like, on a snowy day, like I can drive around because I got winter tires and all that, but it's coastal snow. It's wet and it's ice and it's just brutal. So yeah, there's this poor brown guy shows up like with a ton of bee equipment. Poor guy. It's like he calls me up. Yeah, I'm here. Where are you? And they didn't call me ahead. And like, yeah, just put it on the side of the road. And then he got stuck on the road because the road had it's got a slight tilt to it. It's like not even 5 degrees. It's like probably 3 degrees slope. He went down, tried to get back, and he's like trying to get out. Oh, it was brutal. But anyways,
Did you at least pull him out?
oh, I couldn't do nothing. Right now, my truck, I'm taking the cab off it. I got to do the heads on it, so it's like, I got like a BMW X3 I can pull him with. I don't think that's gonna help.
That's not gonna work.
That's not gonna do nothing. No, the truck's in the shop right now. So yeah.
So they still make snow tires?
Oh yeah. Oh, there's big business in snow tires.
Yeah, I didn't know. I mean, you around here you used to change your tires to snow tires on the back of your cars and all that. And after a while, these are mud and snow, and nobody changes any kind of tires anymore.
Yeah, on your trucks, your mud and your snow tires, they're pretty good. They'll get you through pretty much all of it as long as it's like a dry snow. But if it's a wet snow, you'll get in trouble.
Well, if it's snowing out, I'm staying home.
That's really the smart move.
It's just like 4-wheel drive. It's like I took a load of wood up here yesterday, and it was sort of rainish. It was before the snow hit yesterday, and it was raining a little bit, not much. And the guy wanted me to kind of back off the driveway, kind of up a hill slightly in this hole, and I got a little 550 4-wheel drive, and I pushed it up in there to dump the wood off, and then I feel a little bit better when you got at least some of your tires on blacktop and you can kind of pull yourself out of the hole. It was a little greasy, but that's the only time. I mean, when it comes to 4-wheel drive, you can get stuck just as well as anything else.
Yep.
Well, you can get more stuck because you can get further you can get yourself further in trouble.
Well, yeah, don't get real dependent on that 4-wheel drive, that, I can go anywhere.
Yeah.
You don't get cocky on it. It's more of a get me out of trouble that I didn't see, but I mean, it's like now, I mean, you don't go out on ground now. It's 3 inches of mud on top.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's like if you got one of those 4x4, like, off-road buggy kind of things, it's like the more capable your vehicle is, that just means you can get yourself further in and further stuck, that none of your buddies who didn't spend as much money on it as you did can do anything to get you out of it.
It's like Doug up there in Saskatchewan. He said, if I was up in his world, I'd be staying home 6 months out of the year. Well, what I'm getting at is that if it's actively snowing and coming down on the road, where you're waiting on the snow plows to come by, that's like, I'm staying home. Of course,
if there's like 10 days of bad snow in a year, it's like, why leave out?
I guess where Doug's at, I guess it snows. It's like, that's the normal thing. You just get used to going in the snow. Hey, Bracken.
But that's a different kind of snow. Like that's going to be a cold snow, and it's,
I don't know. Is it more powdery? I've heard people, like our area, we get that wet snow.
Heavy wet
snow. It's like hitting like cement. Whereas some of friends of mine were up in the mountain territory, they had more, as they call it, powder. and you could hit it with your car, and it would just like it was like hitting, but talcum powder.
Oh, now I feel like I'm talking like an Inuit telling you the different types of snow. We have 50 words for snow up here.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, there's lots of types.
Well, guys, it's 10 o'clock, and I think I have to take and run the show tomorrow. My brother went away today and all that. So,
Well, good night.
North
Thanks for
lives
having
in the banana belt, whatever that is.
Well, it's true. We get, well, no, it's not the banana belt. It's, what is it? We get the wind and the rain from Hawaii all the time. So it's like,
So you're warm and foggy all the time.
yeah, well, it's not warm, but it's wet. So it's like all winter, it's like plus minus zero. Like, it's like 4 degrees Celsius all winter.
All right, let me take and transfer that. 4 degrees, 39 degrees Fahrenheit.
There you go.
Well, that's not too bad.
Well,
That's
no,
not
but
bad
it's,
at all.
yeah, but it's 1,000% humidity and everything is soaked.
Yeah, Bustin' Bees, there is a talk show pretty much every night of the week. Tomorrow night at, I'm going to say 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, is Joey Rawls. That's R-A-W, what is it, E-L-S or A-L-S?
Just LS, I think.
Yeah, Joey Rawls.
R-A-W-L-S.
R-A-W-L-S.
Yeah.
Yeah, go to he has a website. He's down in Louisiana. And good night, Dinah.
He's about an hour
And
north.
then Sundays is Tim and Hannah, but I don't think you'll particularly care for them. Monday nights is Bill's Bees all day. It would be me and Bill on there. I co-host with Bill on Monday nights. Tuesday nights is Bob Walker at 8 o'clock usually. And then there's Tom's show. What's it, 7:30, I think it is?
Yeah.
I think it is. There's Tom Maccabees. He's on 7:30 at that time. Wednesday nights is the Stream Team. Just check that out. You can talk amongst yourself on the sidebars. Thursday nights is Keith.
Yep.
Half Tracks Honey. And Keith, you're still at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time.
He had a very good show last night. It was really interesting.
That was a good show.
But yeah,
Was that a non-scheduled show with Keith yesterday?
no, Keith is
He's on every Thursday night.
Keith is taking over Ricky Roy's spot on Thursday night.
Yeah, it was a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bustin' Bees. There's Keith Spielman right there, Bustin' Bees. He just chatted to you. And then Todd and Brian at 10 o'clock at night Eastern Standard Time. They have the on every other Thursdays. So they had it this Thursday, and it's at 10 o'clock Eastern Standard. And then next week they'll be not on. And Todd wants to know what Eddie's email is.
NorthshoreBees@yahoo.com. I have not been looking at the chat. Sorry.
Yeah, northshorebees.org, right?
Yeah, that's a website. My email is northshorebees@yahoo.com.
I'm going to watch your website and check out all that.
It's nothing fancy.
Yeah, I should make one of those.
Any drop links to drop? I don't know. It's really let's see. Let me see if I can do that for you. Well, it's tomorrow night. It's Joey's thing. So let me look him up. Joey, where are you at?
Well, I'm going to self-promote one thing that I'm going to say it here, which will make me actually do it. Because I was watching Cameron talk a little bit to Bob there tonight, and they were talking about how to deal with wasps. And I got a solution for that. And the short answer is boric acid. But I'm going to make a video this week about boric acid. And now that I've said it here, I really have no choice. So everybody come look at that. And if I don't do it, you can all heckle me because I really have to start making videos.
I'm not looking forward to those things making it over here, but I know it's going to happen.
It's inevitable.
All right,
so once you figure it out with boric acid, like how to deal with that, it's like I go up to like people near my paper. I'm like, hey, how are the wasps this year? And like, oh wow, yeah, they're not even bugging us at all this year. Yeah, it's really a real mild year this year. I don't know. It's kind of nice. And I'm like, yeah, you're welcome.
All right, Bustin' Bees.
And I
There's
walk
the
away.
link for Joey's. It's YouTube at youtube.com/@Joey Rawls Bustin' Bees. Go to his website or YouTube website and subscribe, and you'll get his link to his live show tomorrow night. And actually, he'll probably have it dropped already, and you can tell it to turn the notification on for his live show. He has a lot of good folks from the Midwest area, down in the Deep South, Louisiana area, and that kind of stuff. And then, let's see, Bill, can you drop your link in for Monday?
Yep, that's what I'm doing right now.
And then Monday night, Bill's going to drop it in there. There it is, Bustin' Bees. William Gartner. That's the link. Subscribe to his channel, and then you'll get the
Notifications.
notification. Hey, Keith, can you drop your link, or did you drop your link in? I'm not sure if you did or not. Drop your link in for Bustin' Bees. Or Andrew. Yeah, just Half Tracks and Honey is his YouTube channel, but if you subscribe, you'll get his notification. Ah, 2 chats, huh?
Cayman and Bob were on tonight too.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Cayman, he's competing with me.
Yeah, what's up with that? Did you piss him off or something?
No, he just, he can do what he wants to do. All right, I'm going to go ahead and end the show tonight. Thanks for everybody coming in. Thanks everybody on the screen for coming in on the show. It makes a good show when everybody drops in, and all that. So we will see you either at Joey's chat tomorrow night, or on Bill's Monday night, or back here on Friday, and everybody in between.
Good night.
So we'll catch you later.